40 minutes. So if you have any questions, we can definitely go over those at the end. Never hesitate to interrupt me. I probably told you before, but I'm the kind of person where if I don't get a chance to ask my question the moment I think of it, I'll forget it. So I totally, if you guys have a question and want to interrupt me, that never hurts my feelings. We're just going to be reviewing today how to build out this structure, how you can change the content within structure. We're also going to be talking about how to update any of those items on your home page, any of the widgets along the right-hand side, your footer, maybe the social community or social networking menu. We're going to kind of go over all of that today. So before I get started, any questions? Okay.
Not yet.
All right, awesome. So we're really just going to be focusing under our website tab today. The first place I want to go is the Media Manager. So this is going to be kind of the bread and butter of the site when you're creating articles, when you're wanting to bring in images or publish maybe documents, create internal links to the site. So that's all going to be housed in the Media Manager. And what that means is that this is where you'll be uploading any images or files, whether it's PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, Microsoft Docs, whatever the case may be. You can store them in this area and then use this area to publish those, like I said, on internal links in articles or anywhere else within the site. And so you'll just jump in the folder that you're wanting to save items into, whether it's a document, so that'd be the document folder. You'll notice we have all of the documents that we have published in your website right now. We already have those saved in here, stored in here for you guys. Same with images. So you're just going to upload your images. I've got a puzzle right now, but without that, you'll see a upload button. There we go. You'll just be able to select a folder from your computer. Once you've selected it, it's going to add it to that particular folder. You can create additional levels of folders. So if you wanted to have an area just for sponsor logo, we could create that folder, and then that's going to just add a little bit of additional organization. The only folder that I would ask you guys not to touch in here is a site folder, and that's just because that site folder is what our designers use for your website, just making sure that they know where your logo's at. That's pulling your logo onto the front end of the website, and if they need to make edits, this is kind of where they do all of that for us. Yeah, so this is just like our little in-house file store for you guys. Any questions on the Media Manager?
Now it looked like I love that you can add your own folders. So that's awesome. Yeah, and leave that sponsor logo one in there. Okay. So thank you. So it looks like though that you basically just are uploading from whatever it is on your computer directly into the site.
Exactly.
Right?
So you'll never,
yeah, just like anything else. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you'll never be able to like copy and paste an image into an article or like a page of content. You'll always need to save it in your Media Manager first and then add it into the article from the Media Manager. So we're going to go through that full process together as far as accessing the Media Manager, how you do that when you're in an article, and how you bring images or documents into your article.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. I'm going to keep rolling forward. The next thing that I want to go through is how we're going to create a new article and then link that article to a menu item. So I want to go ahead and preface this with saying you always have to create the article first before you can tell it where it's going. So if you try to create the menu item before you've created the article, you won't be able to kind of like fill in that loop because you're missing the article component. So always create what you want to publish first on the back end, then we're going to add it to one of the menu items where you want your members to access it from. So to get started, we'll always need to create that article first by going to Website and Articles. This is going to bring us to our Article Manager. Now, all of the articles that are on your website right now are going to be listed in this area. So what that means is like any of these menu items, sub-menu items, any of these pages of information are all going to be underneath this Article Manager. Even if it's not published, you may have had some articles that weren't published on your old site somewhere, weren't linked up somewhere on a main menu. Those are going to be back here as well. And if you wanted to edit any of those, you can always select the article that you want to make edits to, and then you can just start making edits right inside the editor. We're going to through the things that you can do in the editor together in just a moment. But just to kind of point out, you could just start typing in here just as you would be in like a Word document. And you can also search your articles. So over time, you guys are going to have a ton in here. You've got a search bar in the top left-hand corner you can search your articles with. To create a new article, we're just going to use the icons that you see up here in the top right-hand corner. The icons you're going to be using most often is this plus sign new. That's what we're about to use to create a new article. You may also want to tag specific articles and maybe move them to the trash if you ever accidentally. Did you have a question? No? Okay. If you can tag your articles and move them to the trash. If you ever accidentally move them to the trash, you can always view your trash and restore it. This is also a great place you can check. I feel like, are you trying to ask a question? You're cutting in and out a little bit.
I'm not sure anyone's asked a question. From what I've heard, Adrienne. But I do actually, so what if we have, for instance, one of our featured speakers provides us with an article. We would have to copy and paste it into a new article, or so you can't like upload something that's already been created in another, like a Google Doc or Microsoft Word or something?
That's a great question. So yeah, you can always take that information, copy and paste it into a new article. You can't just like upload an article, but one that I want to go ahead and mention is copying and pasting into an editor is never a best practice. And the reason why is because there's always this like hidden email that has to do with the formatting on the back end. And when you copy and paste that text over, it'll bring over that hidden HTML. And the formatting may look super funky in MemberClicks. It's not always obvious that there's problems. Some does really quirky stuff that's really just a nuisance, like it's just an annoyance more than anything. Like, for example, your lines may be double spacing, and you're like, why is this double spacing? And a lot of times it's messy HTML. So the way to combat that is you can use like Notepad. I use a free app. I have a Mac. I use an application called Sublime, Sublime, and that allows me to copy and paste my text into that text edit Notepad. Like I said, I use Sublime, remove all of the formatting, then just recopy and paste it into the MemberClicks article. That will just prevent you from bringing over any of that messy HTML. I would, to play devil's advocate, tell you guys that 10 out of my 10 associations copy and paste their text into their editors. And sometimes they have problems and sometimes they never do. So just keep in mind, if you guys are copying and pasting and you start noticing things like, oh, the editor's just not doing what I want it to do, it's just not as easily as I wanted it to work, then I would always recommend just taking that text that you copied in there and trying that Notepad text edit or Sublime trick that I just mentioned. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it totally does. And that would explain some of the issues that we have with our site now. I've noticed exactly what you're talking about. So
yeah, that's a pretty common, like any editor that you have used in the past, typically they all have the same kind of requirements, and it's just that messy HTML that can come over and it just acts differently in different editors basically. But yeah, that's a pretty common practice. Awesome, good question. I was also just can publish or unpublish your articles. This is awesome if you're creating a new article and it's already published, but you're just not quite, you're still making edits, you're not quite ready for the public to see it yet. Then you can just leave it unpublished while you're continuing to work on it. And then when you're ready, you can just publish it and the public will be able to see it. We're going to go ahead and create a new article just by selecting that plus sign, new. So now we're in the area where we're actually article. The first thing I want to do is create the title. For our example today, I'm just going to make a sample members only page. You'll notice the alias auto-populated. That alias is always going to be the second half of your URL, and that creates a direct web address to this page. So if we type members dash only, so we're just combining this alias after the / that would be a direct link that would bring us to this page of information. You're also going to see this alias pop up when we look at menu items and when we look at forms. So we're going to see this a couple more times. Now, there's a lot of items that are in our editor that you have seen in the Pine Gal, but I have a lot of experience working in Word, and so I use that as an example a lot. But like bolding, italicizing, underlining, strike throughs, different alignment options, those are all very typical of what you, I'm sure, have seen in the past, as well as different font families, changing the font style, font size. Of course, you can change the font color or the highlighter color. Now, I would recommend that you guys would never use any of those items that I just mentioned as far as the font family, font size, font color, and highlighter. The reason why is because we have some formatted fonts in here for you all. So that means that we've already formatted these to match your website. And I can just apply these different headings into different, and then using these headings and not any of these like customizable items with your verbiage or your text is because two reasons. One, consistency. It'll really help make the consistency throughout the site easy to accomplish. And number two, if you are ever deciding through a rebranding process, just want to refresh your website, you can send us your new colors that you want to use for maybe your heading 1 or heading 2. We're going to add those to the site, and it's automatically going to update everything in the site that used any of these formatted headings. If you used any of these customized pieces, like the font families, sizes, colors, then it's not going to automatically update them, so you'll have to go into the system and manually update all of those pages. So as long as you stick to these formatted fonts, it would be super easy for you guys to overnight wake up and like have a brand new site, basically. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So that's something that's unique to MemberClicks. A couple of other things that are unique to MemberClicks that I want to talk about, how images end. I mentioned first you'll need to save the image in the Media Manager. That is just going to be going into that article, placing the cursor where we want your. Then we'll just need to come to the bottom of your editor and select Image. There's this image button at the bottom. Once we've selected that image, we're going to see a mini Media Manager pop up on your screen. And now we can access any of those folders that we've created so far. I'm just going to your logo, your setter, and insert the image. Now, we may not be super happy with the size of the image that we've added, maybe the relationship between the image and the text. Maybe we would just want to add, change a couple things. So in order to change your image that you've added into the editor, we're just going to select that image. We're going to come to the top of our editor, and there's this teeny tiny little tree icon that you guys see right here. If I select this icon, I have the opportunity to use the Appearance tab, and there are some different options we have in here to change the appearance of your image. Now, if you don't remember what I'm talking about right now, it's okay. You have an example over here on the right-hand side that shows you exactly what you're doing to your editor. For example, I wanted to change the alignment. That means how my text aligns with my image. So my favorite alignment option is left. That's going to push image to the left and wrap text from top to bottom on the right-hand side of the image. So you can see that reflected in our example box. We can change the dimensions of, or the size of our image, so we can just put in a new size. Now, as long as dimension will fill in for us with whatever dimension the image needs to be in order to keep the proportions of your image. Vertical and horizontal space will allow you to put in a specific pixel amount that will create a space cushion between the text and the image. For example, I like to use 10, and that puts in a small space cushion between the text and the image. Same thing for that horizontal. So that text doesn't back right up to the image. We can also add a border. This border will always just be a really simple black border, nothing fancy, just to kind of define outline of the image. At this point, we're going to select Update at the bottom left-hand corner. We're going to say, yes, we want to go ahead and move forward. And now you'll notice that our image is smaller. It has that small border around it. We have that space cushion between the text and the image. And now the image is pushed left and the text starts at the top of the image and it'll work its way down. Any questions on how I did that?
Nope.
All right. The next item that's a little bit different to MemberClicks is how we add external links and internal links. So for external links, we'll always want to type out the text that we're wanting to link up. We're going to highlight that text, and then we're going to come to the top of our editor. This time we're going to choose that tiny link icon. By selecting the link icon, we can the URL that we're wanting to add as an external link. I'm just going to use the home page of your site. Now, the second thing that I always recommend doing in this instance, if you're using an outside link, an external link, instead of having that link open up in the same browser your member is already browsing in, have it open up in a new window. That way they can have the MemberClick site open in one window. They can continue browsing while also having that external link open up in a separate browser. And we're going to insert. So this time we've created that external link. To create an internal link, it's very similar. However, this time instead of going to the top of the editor, we're actually going to come to the bottom editor. I always say we spell it out down here because it's special to MemberClick, so we give it a little bit more glory. We're going to select Site Links at the bottom of this editor. Once again, we're going to see a mini version of our Media Manager, but this time we have all of these different internal items we can link to. Other articles, any of the community features, any other menu items, any forms, any files, polls, events, directory searches. We can link to anything, and this would just be internal to MemberClicks. I'm going to go ahead and link to our event calendar. I'm just going to select what we want to link to and insert this link. Any questions on how we added external or internal links? No? Okay. One more thing that I want to go ahead and show you guys with these links, internal or external, to make you guys look fancy. Anytime you have one of these links created, if you go back and you highlight that linked item, then you can use those formatted fonts again. This time you're going to choose heading 6 and buttons. So it looks like you did a lot of really cool work, but it's actually really simple to accomplish. There are a couple of other items that are clicks or things that I think you guys will use frequently that I want to point out. So we do have an undo button. This is my favorite. We do have a spell check button, thing I also use all the time. One thing I want to mention about our spell check button is that this button is not going to just automatically apply a spell check to your text. You'll always need to highlight your text and then you can select that spell check. At that time, your words that are misspelled will be underlined in red. We also have HTML editor if any of you guys are great with your HTML. And then I wanted to point out all of these buttons through here are for tables. Now, a lot of times the software that my clients come over from required them to use tables previously. For us, my recommendation and a best practice is to never use tables. And the reason why is because while our website is responsive, it looks really neat, really clean. You can use it on a cell phone and still have all the capabilities of the different functions on the site until you add a table. And then when you get to a on it, you're having to scroll through tables because tables are not responsive. And so that is why I would recommend. That is pretty much everything that I wanted to point out in this in going through the article builder. I do have a document that I can send you guys that will give you an exact definition for every single one of these icons, but the ones that I've pointed out today are really the only ones that you guys will ever need to use. Any questions before I continue on?
I don't think so. That was helpful.
Awesome. So before we just save or apply the changes that we've created, we need to set that group access, and that group access determines who gets to see this page of content. So if this page of content is for everybody, you're just going to toggle everybody. If it's only for members, you're just going to untag prospects in public, and then that will prevent them from being able to see this page of information. I'm going to go ahead and just tag everybody. Now, if I hit apply, it's going to save the changes on the front end, but keep us on this page. If I hit save, it's going to save the changes on the front end and take us back to that original article manager.
Adrian, I'm sure that you'll get to this, but that made me think when you were choosing who sees access. I'm assuming then at some point there will be a place, is it on that login?
Yes, and I can point that out to you.
Okay, and then do they, I'm assuming then that they log in and the information that they use to create their membership profile, their member profile?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
Vanessa,
yeah, well, I was just going to tell Vanessa that will be huge, a big difference, because we get, like right now, we have a log area on our website, but it's not associated with our database. So people try to log into our website and can't get anywhere. They get error messages. So that will be nice that they'll be able to then log in, and the specific that's available to members only, that's when they would see it.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's exactly right. I had tagged my last article to unpublish it and then started creating the new article. That just creates some of that. I did earlier today. It's the first time I've ever done it. If you're creating a new article, just start off with no tagged articles. That's really the best practice, and it makes it for a really easy process. If you start off with something tagged, it just gets a little confused because it's almost like it's trying to add the new article to the existing article, if that makes sense. So anyways, I've never had that problem because I usually don't tag them before I create a new one. That's just why I was doing what I was doing. Yeah, just to go ahead and out to you. So like this is your member log out, member log in. I'm going to just show you in an incognito window so that it doesn't recognize me as being an administrator. When your members get ready to log into the site, so we are going to send them a welcome email when you're ready to launch, and it's going to include their data merged username from their profile and link where they can update or create their password. Once they've done that, they'll be able to come to the site, select that member login. That's going to bring them to a member login page where they can add in their username, add in their password, and log the site as a member. And so that's when they'll be able to start seeing member-specific content. This will also take them, once they've logged in, directly to the member landing page, which you guys are going to look at when you get to your social community training. If you haven't done that yet, I think you already have it scheduled, so you might have already had it.
We haven't, Adrian.
Okay. Have you scheduled it with Jay?
No, not yet.
That is totally fine. When I used to do the social community trainings, I always did that one last, so it really doesn't matter at what time you do it with Jay. You guys have the ability to go ahead and schedule that at any time. You'll see his calendar link in my kickoff email that I would have sent to you all. I'll go ahead and just resend that in my email for you guys today, so you don't have to go back and find it, and you can just schedule that with him whenever you're ready.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste that now so I don't forget. Awesome. So we've created our article. So it's live on the back end, but it's not anywhere on the front end, right? So now we need to link it up somewhere on the front end. So to do that, we're going to use our website tab again, but this time we're going to go to our menu items because we're wanting to link it somewhere on one of our menu items. Now we have 4 different menu items in the system. We've got our main menu, our social network menu, the member menu, and a quick links menu to menu items. We've got our main menu at the top, our quick links menu along the right-hand side, social menu all the way down here, these little round icons, And then the member menu, once again, is something you'll be going over when you get to your social community training. So you guys will talk a lot about that member menu on that training. You can update any of those menu items. For our example today, I'm just going to add this article that I just created as a new main menu item. So I'm just going to select the main menu. Now what we see here is an outline of the menu structure as it is right now. Jenny, same thing like when you were looking at the articles. You could unpublish. You can use these arrows to move the articles up and down. So if you want members and staff to be switched, you would just use your down arrow and it would switch those two submenus. We're going to use this same icon, new menu item together as we did when we created a new article. That plus sign that says new, we're just going to select that. Now our website is asking us, okay, you've told me that you want to create a new menu item. You've told me you want it to be a part of the main menu. What are you linking? What type of menu item is this going to be? You can link a main menu item or any menu item to any of these database features. So a lot of times I see my associations create a quick link that will take your members back to their My Profile. So if you wanted to do that, we would just select My Profile. Because once they navigate away from the member landing page, they won't have a way to get back unless you create a link like that. Something that you'll be using all of the time is that single article. That's what we just created together as a goal. If you get in here and you get confused, just ask yourself, you know, we didn't do anything fancy. There were no blogs. It wasn't a list. It wasn't a thing right now together. You can also link directly to an external link. You can link directly to any of your forms, community items. So I'm going to choose single article. Now I need to title my single article. So what is this going to be called on the front? I will name my menu item and the article the same thing, just so I know where they're linking up. There's that alias again. Now we're going to determine where we want this menu item to be located. Do we want it to be part of the main menu? If main menu item, we're going to highlight top. If we want it to be a sub-menu item, we would highlight home or about. You do have the ability to create tertiary menus, and in that case, you would just highlight one of the sub-menus. So for example, membership, it looks like is a tertiary menu of the sub-menu Polish Heritage Alliance. We're going to go ahead and just put this under the Home tab for our example's sake today. So I'm going to highlight Home, so it's going to create a sub-menu of Home. We're going to set that group access, who has the permission to see this. Now lastly, we need to tell the system, okay, when I click Home, or when I click this sub-menu item called Members Only that's under Home, what article is it taking me to? So we still need to select our article. We're going to select the Select button. The last article that you just always be at the top of this list. So in our case, it was that members article we created together. Now we're going to hit Save. Once I've selected Save, I can go back to the home page of your site. We're going to refresh the home page. And now when I hover over Home, there's that members only menu item that we just created and added together. I'm going to select that members only, and it takes us to that test example that we created. Any questions on that process?
No questions other than what is getting pulled, like, are we going to need to create that for everything that's on our current site, or is any of those sub menus getting pulled over?
So I believe we've created all of that
okay.
already. So like you can see, I think for the most part, yeah, see, we should have already pulled, this is your MemberClick site. So we've created all for you.
Except that's not our information.
This isn't your info. Is this somebody else's information?
Yeah.
I was wondering because I have another association. It's a Polish association. And I was like, this doesn't look like, okay, so I'll just have to have my designer. He must have had two trying to do two at one time. I'll let him know that he got that a little bit mixed up and that we need to bring your content over from your site, not Polish information.
Oh, it's fine. I'm glad I asked then, because I thought it was maybe just partially done and there you had just put like dummy data in there for us to look at.
Nope.
And I should have said something the other day, because I noticed there was a lot of Polish stuff on there the other day as well. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh my goodness. I'm so sorry. Let me put, yes, I'm so glad you said something. I'm going to have him, let me make a little note to myself to do. I hope that your show is not on my Polish site. Have the content brought over from existing site. He can have that done by the end of the week. He should be able to.
Okay.
Not Polish info. Okay, cool. We'll have him go ahead and fix that. So it'll look kind of like this, but with your information. Awesome. Any other questions?
I'm not able, I'm just in the car traveling, and you may have addressed this, and maybe this is an appropriate question, but if we were to have a tab that would say just for our governing board, then that could have, because right now it sounded like you were talking about you could have a link that was for members only that could get to. Could there be limitations put on it that is even a smaller group and you designate who that is for?
I think I missed that just a little bit. Okay,
I'm sorry.
No, Rob, that's a great question. So what he's asking, Adrian, is we have specific group board, for instance, who are obviously members, but we have a specific area that we want them to be able to see that we have other members. So when you were talking about members only being able to access a certain article or a certain page, can we break that down even more so that it's not just members only, but it's a small group of our members that can see that page?
Yeah, that is an awesome question. That we can do that. So we should have talked about the difference. We should have talked about the difference in member types and groups on our database training. So just to recap, member types control, technically, they control the length of the membership period and the cost of membership dues. Now, anytime you have a member type in the system has a system attribute called a group. And a group is the mirror image in the system. So you'll notice when we are looking at any of these items and I set the permissions, it doesn't say member type, actually saying group access, because it's technically not built on member types, it's built on groups. With that being said, we don't have to have, so every type has to have a group, but every group does not have to have a member type. So we can create additional groups on your back end, and I can do that by going to database, groups, and you can create additional groups in here. So what would you call that group that you're talking about? Did you say board?
Governing board.
I could just create that. It's a new group. Now if I go back to my website, back to my articles, now you'll see governing board added here. So if this page, for example, was only for that governing board to see, you would just unselect everybody and just select governing board. Did that make sense?
It does make sense. Is where we put in the members of the governing board.
So in your member profiles, now that we've created this, so in order to give people permission to see that, we would go into an individual's profile. And in their system attributes, which is in this right, all the system attributes are housed in this right-hand box. See this group?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to edit, and we're going to add them to the governing board. Recognizes who gets that additional permission.
Okay.
So for every governing,
I think there could be some uses for that. At least going through my mind, there would be.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys can have as many of those additional groups as you want. So if you have a governing board, if you have a voting board, you know, whatever it may be, you can have as many of those as you guys would like. Now we can also set up directories based on that in a way. And so I could also create a directory. So like sometimes what my associations have is a page called Board of Directors. So instead of having to have an article where you've posted the Board of Directors information, we can actually have the article pull from a directory. So it just pulls in basically their profiles into that area. So all of their information is being reflected. What's helpful about that is that information is dynamic. So if I'm a board of director and my physical address is updated and my email address for some reason, then if I update that my profile, it's also going to reflect on the dynamic member directory or board of directors page. Whereas if you, of course, created an article, you're going to have to go in there and Are you still following?
Yeah,
okay.
that's awesome. Mm-hmm.
I threw a lot of information on you, but you guys, you can get in here and play around with that and start setting some of that stuff up. And then if you get stuck, just let me know. We can work through some of it together. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. Good question. Any other questions on, I've kind of got one more thing that I want to go over today. Any other questions on how we created that article and linked it to the menu item?
No.
Okay. So the next thing that I want to go over with you guys is widgets. And I also, I guess, want to point out, if you haven't noticed already, under the website tab, there is a view my site. So if you're on the back end in your administrative session, you can just view my site to see the there we go. You cannot get from the back end. You can't get to the back end from the end, but you can get from the front end to the front end from, I mixed that up. You can get from the front end from the back end, but we can't go backwards. We can't go back to the end from the front end, if that makes any sense.
Right. Yep.
So I also wanted to go back to widgets. So I'm under website. We're going to look at widgets together. Widgets are what make your website responsive. It's kind of a funky word, but basically if somebody's on a cell phone, it's going to look about like, and notice all of these different areas stacked on top of one another. That is allowing your website to be responsive. People still have full access to all of these different components. And so that is possible through widgets. So widgets are our friend. So with me saying that, this home page, if I go back to that home page, these areas, since you saw those stack, these aren't articles. Articles can't stack on top of each other. These are three separate widgets. So we have the homepage main, we have the homepage left, and we have the homepage right. If you wanted to update any of these three areas, which usually after this training today, it's not like homework, but I suggest that you guys get in here and make this homepage look pretty because you're going to have to eventually anyways. This is an area that we don't fill information into because we kind of let you guys decide what info you want to highlight on the homepage. But basically, if you like for you to update this information on the back end, it's just under widgets and got homepage main, homepage left, and homepage right. So this is how we would update those pieces of information. So those are three widgets. We also have member landing my name is. Members get into the member landing page and they're greeted with a personalized name tag. This is that personalized name tag. So what we're going to do is data merge by using the merge tool at the bottom here. We're going to merge in their contact name, usually their organization. You guys can come in here and edit any of this if you want to, but this is usually typical. Their organization, so I'm just selecting this, and then their member type. Merge data, member type. Then with a personalized name tag. main, member landing, quick links. I don't know. I have been free. Hold on a second. Let me fix this. You guys just shouldn't have the ability to see that. So let me go to your quick links. And I'm going to say, I'm going to get that removed so it doesn't confuse you. You guys basically shouldn't be able to see one. There. No, it's still there. I'll fix it later. Anyways, so don't worry about this. You shouldn't be able to see this anyways. I'll have it removed. We went over the home page left. We went over the home page right. Slider image. There are those images on your home page that are sliding through here, right? And so we went ahead and added the images that you guys provided, which these look awesome, by the way. If you wanted to change those at any time, of course. If you wanted to change those at any time, of course, you have to save them in your medium burst. These 980 by 245. Then you'd be able to come into the sponsor slideshow widget. To add one, you're just going to place your right back to back the last image that was added in. You're going to come to the bottom of the editor where it says image, and image just like I showed you guys earlier. That's the image to the slideshow. If you wanted to take away an image, of course, you could just highlight it and delete it out. So this is a really easy tool to use.
That's something so awesome. You have no idea how difficult our current site is to change those pictures. So that's huge. Thank you.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. One thing to keep in mind is they do all have to be the same, which is that 980 by 245. If there's different sizes, then you'll start seeing some funky stuff. And you'll always have to add the image right to the very back of where you added the last image. No spacing, no entering down or anything like that. But as long as you follow those two rules, it's really simple. We have footer info. Footer information is just this information right down here. If you guys wanted to edit this, add more of your info, whatever the case may be, you can do that in this footer info widget. So these two custom login page content, top half and lower half, that is just, there's an area that you can add text above this login section or below. I would say in most cases, my associations leave this alone, but I have had a few that have added like not a member question mark, register here and become a member today. And they'll just link up their membership application, which is a pretty great use of, but you definitely don't have to do anything else with this page. And then so that's these two. And then lastly, announcements, that's just going to be our announcements widget, which is right here. So that means that it's going to update, that text is going to update in this area. Any questions on any of those widgets?
Nope.
Were you guys that asked to change this from your Twitter to your Facebook?
No, we want the Twitter there.
Perfect. Okay, then never mind. Somebody asked me. I don't remember. Awesome. So that's pretty much everything for our content training today. It's really simple. I'm going to include our video from our training. And I'm going to go ahead and, well, I'll wait and see if you guys have any questions before I stop the recording. But I'm going to send that to you. I've also got some great resources for you to look through that'll help you guys navigate through this. I would recommend getting your hands kind of dirty in here right after our call today, or maybe sometime tomorrow, just because it'll help with having all the information fresh on your minds. Any questions from any of the items we went over?
I think the only, just as I'm looking at it, so basically the access that we have, so when we log in, we're into the website, to the database, to everything that we've discussed so far, correct?
What do you,
Like for us to be able to edit, sorry.
yeah, for you guys to be able to edit, you'll need to be in the system as administrators on that administrative link.
Okay.
Is that what you were asking?
Correct, yes.
Okay.
And I believe we've all found our access for that now. Is there more, like if I wanted to add more people to it, is that easy?
No, that is easy to do. All you would need to do is you can go to your profile list and just select, there's a button that's going to pop up that says add an individual. And you would just want to add as an admin.
Oh, okay.
And then you just fill out their information. And from that point, they would have a little access than like the ASAs. So that you are an ASA, but they have access to add articles, add content, edit articles, edit content, create forms, all that kind of good profiles, edit profiles, all that kind of good stuff.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I'm going to get your follow-up email sent to you guys just as soon as I get my video from our call uploaded to my channel. So I'll include that. I went ahead and included Jay's link so you guys can schedule your social community training at any time. While we're on the phone, do you guys want to go ahead?
Yeah, that would be good.
When would be the next best available time for you all? I could do as early as this Friday.
Yeah, and that I've got a full day. I've got a full day conference tech on it. That is Friday. So to be honest, Adrienne, probably the next time would be like a week from today, if that would be doable. But it would have to be 5 o'clock Eastern for me next Tuesday. Otherwise, maybe Wednesday, the 18th.
I have like all Tuesday morning open, but I do have a 3, 4, and 5 o'clock scheduled. And then unfortunately, Wednesday I'm booked as well, which is crazy. My schedule's crazy. Thursday.
Okay, so, well, let's look at what all is included in the forms training, or what is needed as far as that. Like, can you give us an example of what some of that would be? I'm just trying to be.
Yeah, so like usually it's the person who's going to be creating your event registrations. So we're going to be building a form together, which could be for an event registration, the membership application. If there's random forms you guys use, like donation forms, RSVP forms, stuff like that.
I'm thinking that maybe if Vanessa can do Tuesday morning, that maybe we go ahead and schedule it for next Tuesday, like maybe late morning, and then have Jenna and Rod could watch the recorded version of it as well.
Yeah. Do you want to get with Vanessa, or do you want me to go ahead and put that down?
Oh, that sounds good.
Vanessa,
okay.
The 17th, yeah, maybe like any time after 9.
You guys are Central, so that's 1 hour behind me. So what if I did 11:30 Eastern, 10:30 Central?
Sounds good.
Does that work for you, Vanessa? Yep, works for me.
Awesome. So I'm going to put us down for our forms. So once we do that forms training, and then once you get the social community training booked, which if you guys could go ahead and do the social community training this week or early next week, that would be, sometime next week, then we're really done with our trainings at that point. It's just going through the Go Live checklist, making sure obviously everything's buttoned up, and of course, making sure yours is on the website. So I'll definitely get that done before we talk again Tuesday. Yeah, and so if you guys come across any questions, just let me know. The more that you can kind of be in the site playing around, playing with your database, and the more you can kind of familiarize yourselves with it, the better that we'll be getting near that Go Live checklist that we'll be going over. Okay?
Okay. Sounds good.
Joining me on our training today, I'm going to go ahead and stop our recording.